Now we're going to bring on Emily Glazer from the Wall Street Journal, who's going to tell us how big firms are mentoring startups on their image. So, Emily, what's up? Is this a brand new development here? What's going on?
It's almost like startups are playing catch up. I think everyone's so image conscious nowadays, yet startups, especially tech startups, are so focused on the technology, even enamored by it, that they forget they have a first impression and a message that they need to make.
So who are some of these startups that are getting advice from some of the bigger firms? What's going on here?
It's especially happening in Cincinnati, which is home to Proctor Gamble, the world's largest advertiser, and there are a lot of media and branding firms there. So a business incubator called The Brandery, formed by the P&G CEO's son, Robert McDonald.
Had he worked at P&G
He
as well?
had not worked there. He's actually a lawyer, and he's done this completely on his own accord, but obviously has the Cincinnati P&G background. They've so far graduated or assisted 14 companies, including one called Leap that helps you create challenges with friends and take photos to do new things. Another called Road Trippers forms a lot of different ways to go on road trips with an application. And even Portland, Oregon, the Portland incubator experiment is catching on with big advertising firm Wieden & Kennedy backing it up.
So now the interesting part about all this is that they take equity stakes in these companies as they provide them with this.
That's true,
and
that's actually typical of business incubators or accelerators, and those are basically companies that take in different startups, usually anywhere from 5 to 15 for a couple months to a year, and when they take them in, they offer their expertise, their mentors, their advice, and often working space. And for that, they usually give them anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 in seed funding, and they also do take usually a 6% equity in the company.
And it totally makes sense. I mean, it just seems like this sort of business is interesting because, you know, small businesses, they want to get their name out there, but they also want to make sure that they have the perfect product. So they go for advice from obviously the big companies, big established companies that have been doing this for a long time. Is there a sense why now this trend is growing as opposed to why this didn't pick up 10, 20, 30 years ago?
That's a great question, and part of it is because of social media and the idea that once your name is out there, it goes fast. So that message that you put out there, if you mess up,
right away.
You're almost screwed in many ways. So what some of the businesses have been doing, and especially one that was great, actually a few from the Brandery, they teamed up with big design firms like Landor, LPK. These are agencies that have done the campaigns for Procter & Gamble, Diageo, Kraft. Really, you know, they work with big companies, and they've completely redone the logos. They've done the color schemes, the fonts, the message, the tone, things that you might laugh about, but those little things are huge.
Well, one of the things you point out in the story is that a lot of companies, I mean, they want to get the product right, and that's hard enough. They want to make sure that they've got the right team in place, but then, you know, the marketing bit, the advertising bit is sort of an afterthought, or it can be.
Absolutely.
This helps avoid that.
Yes, and one of the other interesting things that they do, especially in Cincinnati, is that P&G is known for doing tons of consumer insights and surveys and really finding out what do people want. So one of the things that they've been doing at the Brandery is kind of mimicking those different types of surveys. In fact, one of the co-founders, Dave Knox, was a brand manager, so he did all of this. And they actually have changed some companies completely when they were finding out that what the consumer wanted was pretty different from what they initially had.
Does P&G have any stake in this, in any of this?
P&G doesn't. They're a big, they're a big part of all of it. They have a lot of mentors. Obviously, there's the influence with the CEO's son. You can't ignore that. But they're not taking stake in any of these companies. I actually, when I visited, I saw chairs and they said, oh, those used to be at P&G. So in their own way, they obviously are helping out, but not nearly as connected as you might want to imagine or think.
All right. That's a great story. Thanks so much, Emily Glazer.